What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and we got a full house for you guys tonight. As always, I am joined by my co-hosts Matt Llewellyn and Mike Andrews with Nothing But Niners. But we also have the guys from the Forever Faithful podcast and our guy Dion from the Niner Game podcast. We got Brandon, Christian, and Dion in the house. We got a great show planned for you guys this evening. It is the first preview show of the year. So we're previewing the Jets 49ers Monday night matchup. Before I get started, I'll kick it over to my panel here. I'll start with Matt, as I always do. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. Daughter's going through a little period. Got more teeth coming in, doing her thing. So it's been a rough day. Wasn't able to get through my workout, but that's how it goes. And it's always worth it, to see a smile on their face at the end of the day. But other than that, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
That's good. Yeah, I'm doing good. Football's back tomorrow. I'm sure we all know. We are one day away, under 24 hours now. And then we got football this week, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. So for the next 5 days, it's great. Mike, how you doing tonight?
All is well, man. Done my bowling league again. Tonight kicked off our official winter league. Was in there, a little trash, only averaged 176, but it is what it is. I'll bump it up a little bit more. But no, I'm ready for football, man. I'm excited to talk to you guys about some conspiracy theories and some, I was listening pre-pro, I guess, and NFL persuasion. I can't wait to discuss a little bit of that if you guys dare to dabble in it.
Okay, all right. Brandon, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Zach. I'm excited for football season to start and game pumped for Monday night's game. So can't wait to talk about it tonight.
That's right, man. That's right. Christian, nice to see you. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited, man. I'm ready for some football. It's gonna be a good weekend, man. All I'm gonna do is football all weekend. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Dion, last but not least, how you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Just ready to talk some Niner football. Glad that football is back. And, hoping the Ravens kick Pat Mahomes' teeth in.
That's right. That's right. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. If you're watching on YouTube, on any of the 3 YouTube channels, hit like, hit subscribe. Might as well go over to the other 2 and hit like and subscribe while you're there. If you're watching on X, make sure you hit like and repost the stream. That way more people can find the show. It's probably the best thing you guys can do actually to help us out. Either repost or if you want to be a little more helpful, copy the link and just share it to social media. That tells the algorithms, hey, more people should watch this. So we appreciate it. Make sure you do us a solid and check us out and share the show. But like I said, we got the preview show tonight. First one of the year, so we are all hyped. 49ers, Jets, there's so much to get into. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk got signed. Trent Williams got signed since the last time we recorded, which I believe was Sunday night. Sorry. So that's great. The 49ers are all set. Matt, I'm going to throw it back to you. What are you looking forward to seeing the most? Maybe keeping a close eye on the most in this
Sure. I think the biggest thing to keep an eye on, obviously, is going to be the 2 players that are coming back a little bit, tardy to the show. We saw it last year with Nick Bosa when he had his contract holdout. Took him a while to get going. You wonder what kind of shape Brandon Ayuk's going to be in, what kind of shape Trent Williams is going to be in. Less so with Trent Williams because he's such a consummate pro after 15 years. He's been doing this for a long time. But Ayuk, the goal is to stay healthy and kind of work yourself back into football shape. How's he going to handle contact, not having taken any contact in the offseason? What's that going to look like? And then what's it going to look like for the rest of the offense? We saw, some of the offense, the first team offense struggled a little bit at times in the preseason just because they didn't have all their guys out there, whether it was the line, whether it was, the wide receivers or what have you. I think it's easy for people, to always give Brock Purdy crap for, he's got so many people. But at the end of the day, he didn't have a lot out there in the preseason. So you get those guys coming back. And then I think beyond that, Christian McCaffrey, what's he going to look like after missing all of training camp, essentially with calf injury? So.
Yeah, those are big storylines, definitely. We've seen, unfortunately, the last 2 of these holdouts with Debo and Bosa affect the player heading into the season? Mike, I'll start with you. Are your expectations altered at all with Brandon Ayuk or Trent Williams? Matt just spoke on both of them. They both had lengthy holdout/hold-ins that lasted through September. Are your expectations altered at all?
Yeah, no, not at all. I think if they played different positions, if there's one guy that I'm more concerned about, it would definitely be Trent. It's just the age, and expecting, he's in a bang situation every single play. If he's a little slow off the snap count, that can make a big difference in the game. So if there is anyone that I'm worried about, is Trent. But Ayuk is running and catching, and those things don't really change. That is something that he can actually simulate. Maybe timing and rhythm with Purdy, but I'm not really overly concerned with that. I would venture to say that his time away from the team, he still has more reps with Purdy than probably anybody else. So I'm not overly concerned with that.
Okay, well, that's promising. That's nice to know. The Jets got a pretty nasty defense, so we'll see. Christian, there's a bunch of talk from last year. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers got injured 4 plays into the year. It's been about a calendar year. Believe it or not, it was Monday Night Football of last year. How dangerous is Aaron Rodgers still, in your opinion, to the 49ers? And can he still be that MVP type player that we've seen years past?
See, I think he can still make all the throws. His arm talent's still there. I don't know if the big part of his game, extending the plays and moving as well as he used to. I think he's going to miss that a little bit. So I think he's going to be more of a statue and easier to get. Plus, every time we play him, we kind of already know how to get to him and keep him in the pocket enough to where we get a bunch of sacks on him. I'm most excited too because, the guy that hurt him is going up against him again. Week 1, Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd is, I think, going to play a little more. I can't think of the word, but he's going to be ready to go. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets Rodgers more than once. I watched a video. He was talking about getting death threats from Jets fans after he hurt Rodgers last year. So he's extra motivated. That's the word I was looking for. Is motivated to play really well. So I'm actually really excited for his debut with the 49ers.
Okay, yeah. One of the big free agent signings, arguably the biggest. He had that injury the last preseason game. I don't know if you guys saw on Adam Schefter's podcast where he said it was kind of overblown by the team. They were just playing it safe. He's good to go, so that's great news. Dion, any rookies or any free agents other than Christian just spoke on Leonard Floyd that you're expecting to have a nice contribution Monday night?
Honestly, I want to see what Malik Collins brings to the table. We all have that nice little shot of him basically bullying two offensive linemen at the same time. But I want to see what our defense looks like versus the run. Preseason was extremely lackluster against the run. And we all know that the wide 9 is unfortunately susceptible to runs up the middle. So I'd like to see what the run defense looks like. I'm very anxious to see this whole D-line in general of Malik, Nick, and Leonard, and Javon. Javon's a little slimmer, so I want to see if that helps, bring some athleticism and whatnot, because the one thing our defensive line, kind of switched up on last year was a little bit of pressure. So I want to see what that defensive line looks like. I want to see how well we hold up against the run, because Breece Hall he's back. He's ready to go. And he's definitely, believe me, you get that kid an opening, you can kiss him goodbye, because he's got the speed to hit those home runs.
Yeah, man, he's definitely a dangerous running back. So that'll be a nice test for the 49ers. And that leaves me with Brandon. Brandon, as far as this 49ers offense, they kind of struggled a little bit down the stretch last year. It seemed like after that Ravens game, they had a nice game against Washington. And then if my math is correct, if my memory is correct, the next game was the starters, or they didn't play the starters, versus the Rams. Then they had the bye week versus the Packers. We all know how that went. And then obviously the first half debacle versus the Lions, and then they put up 23, I want to top of my head, if my memory serves correct, in the Super Bowl. What are you expecting out of this offense Monday night? Will they hit the ground running? Is it going to be a little more of things may take a minute to get back into gear. What are you expecting from the offense?
Honestly, I think it seems like it's kind of a reoccurring thing with the offense of starting slow, and I feel like that's what's going to happen Monday night versus the Jets, especially with Trent Williams getting his back out there and being on the line, and I don't know, I just feel like it's going to start off slow, but I think once they find their groove and everything, they're going to shoot for the stars, man. I'm not too worried about it at all. I mean, it's kind of been a thing literally towards the end of the season, like you said, Zach. And once they find their groove, they just start moving. So I'm not too trippy about it.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Obviously, the biggest switch, in my opinion, has to be the second running back. Elijah Mitchell isn't even active on the roster. He got placed on IR like the day before roster cuts. Maybe it was the morning of. So it is now Jordan Mason, which I know all 6 of us are extremely excited. I think all 6 of us have been calling for Jordan Mason to get more touches.
Zach,
Yeah.
I got a question for you. How is that different from last year?
I guess it really isn't, other than according to a piece of paper that said it was.
There you go.
But yeah, good point. Because Christian McCaffrey almost never left the field, right? So I think he had like 400 touches last year. But hopefully Kyle has some confidence now that RB2 in Jordan Mason can give him some nice production. I'm really excited to see what he can bring. But let's do more of like a standard preview show like we would. Well, we'll do offense versus defense versus offense, and flip side. But let's start with the 49ers offense. Mike, I just spoke with Brandon a bit about it, but what are you, maybe I should ask this this way. What is a main key to victory for the 49ers on offense?
Yeah, they're going to have to establish the run game and do it early. That Jets defensive line it should be respected. They have arguably one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. He's going to be going up against a rookie right guard for the 49ers and a average center, so it's going to, the like Dion alluded to, the rushing attack didn't seem, overwhelmingly like, wow, like look at that, we're back. Like we were wowed by individual players and plays, but not necessarily the blocking and all that. So they're going to have to get that ball going on the ground and see what it looks like with Christian McCaffrey back there, right? Like we haven't seen him. You guys were talking about Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk, right? But Christian McCaffrey hasn't done anything all off season as well. And if he's going to be the bell cow behind some makeshift offensive line and Trent being rusty and the new rookie out there and all, it could be a little bit of a disaster. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Got to get that run game going.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Just reading some of the comments here. Retro Gamer, great point, Brandon. I think the offense will start slow at first. Once they get clicking, get into the rhythm, the Niners will dominate. Mason, a grade A dog. I just hope Kyle doesn't overuse CMC and use all the players. Matt, I'm going to toss it back to you. Still on offense, is there anything that Mike didn't mention maybe that the 49ers need to do to win?
Yeah, I mean, beyond establishing the run, you have to involve, the passing game to help that run get established. And I think that one of the best ways that they can do that is utilizing the new catching ability, seemingly, of Jordan Mason. What I'd like to see, because we alluded to it, right? You said Christian McCaffrey got 400 touches last year. Man, that can't happen again this year. He's just coming back off a calf injury. They need to keep it real tight this game. So expect Jordan Mason to get a little bit more run. Maybe save Christian McCaffrey for some of those obvious passing downs. But I do think that, establishing the run is definitely important. That sets up the play action pass. That sets up everything else. Just spoon feed the offense. This offense can go, right? Take advantage of the fact that there won't be, a lack of talent there now, like there was in the preseason games. Because one of the biggest things that we saw when Brock Purdy first got out there was that dude was running for his life. He was trying to communicate with players that just don't know his style. Now he's going to have all his horses out there, and it's time to ride.
You're on mute, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mike. That's a good point, Matt. I think it's going to be interesting to see exactly what this offense looks like. Unfortunately, we're not going to see rookie Ricky Pearsall for at least the first 4 games. He was placed on the NFL injury or non-football injury list, so he will at least minimum of 4 games. However, the 49ers do have another rookie receiver in Jacob Cowing, who recently changed his number to 19, which I think looks great on him. I was a fan of the 83. I feel like maybe some receivers need to stick back to the 80s after going back to like the teens, but I like it. I think he's still a cool 19. Dion, any chance Cowing gets some action? Do you think it's way too early? Historically, Kyle doesn't really give rookie receivers the rock early on. So do you think he'll need to prove himself, or do you think maybe he's done enough in the preseason to get some touches here week 1?
I would say Jacob Cowing, if you see him, you're probably going to see him on special teams. I don't think you see him outside of that. Just once again, just what you alluded to, Kyle doesn't necessarily trust rookies like that. And though it would be nice to see, a cool little double reverse with him and Debo or something like that, and yes, we saw some of that home run speed that we all fell in love with that we thought was going to come from Danny Gray, but obviously it didn't because he's gone. So special teams at best. I doubt you'll see him on the field unless, God forbid, something goes down and there's an injury. But if you do, maybe Kyle changed his ways. But I have to agree with Mike really quick. With Matt. Please, for the life of me, Kyle, stop running CMC into the ground. You have other options. You drafted Garindo. You have Jordan Mason. Please use them. There are other people that can run the rock outside of Christian McCaffrey. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair, man. That's fair. Go ahead, Mike.
Can I ask I want to ask a question to the panel really quick, guys. Just your thoughts on this. Is Jacob Cowing receiver 4, 5, or 6 in your guys' mind?
4.
I got 4.
Everyone's saying 4. You guys have him ahead of
4 until Pearsall gets back.
He's the only guy on this team that can really take the top off the defense, like legitimately. If he's running the safety has to come and cover it, dude, he can outrun any of those DBs. And Purdy can actually have the arm strength to get the ball deep. He's gonna get a couple of those this year.
If Kyle agrees with you guys, we should see some maybe no targets, right? But he should get on the field at least at some point. No,
he'll get on the field. I think he's a punt returner.
He's like shiny new toy for Kyle. Like, I know you say Kyle don't like the rookies, but this guy with the speed and what he can do, Kyle's like, oh, I can dial up some crazy stuff with this guy and have fun with him.
Is he punt return or kick return? I know it's
one of the two. He's punt return and Mason is kick return because everybody's saying the kickoffs are like running plays anyways.
He's going to take a punt return back this year once he starts to get more comfortable.
Here's the other thing I'll say. Cowing took number 19, so maybe Kyle is going to have another brain fart like he did with the coin toss in the Super Bowl and be like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'm gonna run it for him." Oh, the shit, that's not Debo. Oh man, so we'll see. I don't know what we know what Conley is, and Conley is a guy that's going to get you one catch every like 4 games. Yeah. Why not try it with? If you're getting down to the fact that you have 4 wide receivers on the field, you really shouldn't get to that point very often. Honestly, those are plays that you just like move Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield and keep George Kittle on the field. You know what I mean? Like, you're not really getting to your 4th wide receiver a ton in this offense.
That's true. And speaking of wide receivers, I'm seeing a bunch in the chat, a bunch of comments in the chat saying how Ayuk is going to cook Gardner. Christian, I'm going to throw it to you. We've had some conversations off the air of Ayuk's expectations, maybe his early production after his hold-in. What are your expectations for Brandon Ayuk fresh off that 4-year, $120 million contract? And after your answer, we got to get to the super chat. So what are your expectations for Brandon Ayuk versus Sauce Gardner, or really just the Jets DBs in general, but specifically, obviously, the marquee matchup, BA versus Sauce?
You'd like to think his route running is still going to be as clean as it is normally. I mean, missing camp, I don't know how much it's going to affect him. We'll kind of have to see. I think Sauce is, one of the best corners in the league, but I think when it comes to Ayuk's route running, he can get open on any corner. It doesn't really matter. So as long as if his route running is as clean and crisp as it normally is, there shouldn't be any reason that he's not open. I mean, if you watch his tape, he's kind of always open because his route running is so clean. So I would expect him to still be open. We'll see how much he gets the ball, how things go that way with him missing camp, stuff like that. But I would assume he's going to be open. I don't think Sauce is going to shut him down.
Okay. Anybody disagree with that? Anybody think Sauce is going to pose a
soft disagree? I think that again, Ayuk is going to be a focus of more than just Sauce Gardner, because I don't know, man. Like on the other side, I said this last week. The Debo ain't getting open against nobody, so they got a problem on that other side of the ball. They got to get Debo in a position where he can get the ball in space, a lot like they did, in the NFC Championship and against Philadelphia Eagles, where you're running like jailbreak screens and stuff for him. Because if you're relying on Debo Samuel to beat DJ Reed, I think that's who their other corner is. Like you got another thing coming, dude. Like I just don't see it.
I think Jennings doesn't get enough credit for he can beat some of these corners.
Sure, but again, you got Debo, who might not be able to get open. Juwan Jennings, that's fine. But then if Brandon Ayuk is rusty at all, then you're looking at Sauce Gardner probably going to clamp him up. So you just got to be careful. Again, it's early in the season. You got guys coming back from not having been in training camp. They're coming back from injury. Again, older guys. You got guys like we saw with Nick Bosa last year. It took him a while to come back. And that's somebody like Nick Bosa, who's the biggest workout freak in the world, who has insane technique. And it took him half the season to get going. So I think we take it a little bit for granted that Brandon Ayuk's just going to be able to come in and cook right away. I think that's maybe a little bit of an unrealistic expectation. I would actually look more for George Kittle to be the impact maker. But again, he's coming off of an injury in the offseason too with that core muscle surgery. Mm-hmm. So the 49ers really have a lot of work to do. And the more that they can get the ball out in space to their playmakers, the better off they're going to be, because just trying to run a vanilla offense against the Jets, I don't think it's going to work. I think Shanahan really needs to dial up the magic here for them to have success. The Jets are going to be a top 5 defense in the NFL this year, guys.
But that goes back to Cowing too, for being able to take the top off the defense. You want them out there because they have to worry that, this guy can run by me.
Mike?
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No. No need to apologize at all. I like Matt trying to create a little bit of doubt and, nerves, right? We shouldn't be overly confident going into this game, but I completely expect the Niners to dominate this team. Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan know each other very well, and I think one knows one better than the other. With that said, though, the last time we saw Kyle play call, he was trying to make his wide receiver 3 the MVP of the game. Now, I heard someone say that, Jennings can beat some of these guys. Jennings can beat some of these guys out of breaks, but let's be very clear. He's not running away from anybody. He might break a tackle. He's got a mean-ass stiff arm. Like, I'd hit him if he stiff-armed me the way I've seen him stiff arm other DBs and safety. Like that is not, it's mad disrespectful. I'd hit him, right? But maybe this is the kind of game where Kyle continues to try to catch people off guard with Juwan Jennings, or maybe a Cowing, or maybe a Mason, maybe some weird formations or something like that. Kyle's got to do something this game to give his veterans the time to get back into football shape. A lot of these guys didn't do anything throughout preseason. So use the young rookies and the new faces, the third, fourth year guys that have been working their way up the roster depth chart.
See, I like how you say that, because I didn't get a chance to chime in based on like what I want to see the offense do. But going off that, that's what I want to say is that the Niners have to find a way to find an identity with like Mason in the game. Like the Niners haven't been able to find an identity when CMC's not in the game, right? So he's out. Defenses are like, well, we can play the run, make them beat us with the pass. We can play a certain way because we're not afraid. So the Niners have to establish an identity when Mason is in there. Mason can average 5 yards a carry, but they have to, have an identity on passing and stuff like that. So it's not just every time Mason goes in there, the defense goes, oh, well, we're just going to stop the run. You know, you're going to have to beat us with the pass. We're not going to play the pass when Mason's in there because we're not afraid of anybody but CMC. And the Niners have to establish a way to make defense fear our backup.
I think they will. I mean, I think Jordan Mason will prove to be a very formidable running back. Like I said, we got a super chat from our guy, Gray Fox 198. $10 says Leonard Floyd has the chance to do the funniest thing. Obviously, this is just a joke. Nobody is wishing injury on anybody. Thank you for your contribution, Gray Fox 198. It is a little strange, though. Like, it is a little strange. I don't know if you guys are superstitious or a little stitious, but Leonard Floyd, Monday Night Football versus Aaron Rodgers on the road. Mike?
NFL persuasion. That's what I wanted to ask you guys. Like, what are the odds that the Jets, first of all, just get back-to-back Monday Night Football games in week 1? Just the odds on that alone. And then Aaron Rodgers having to go up against the specific guy on a completely different team, different conference, right? Like that took him out for the whole season on the 4th play of the game. Like, the odds of that have to be probably better than hitting the lottery. That is absolutely insane to think that that's happening like this. What if there is a little bit of like scripting? I'm not saying like predetermined outcomes, but what if there's a little bit of scripting? Like, what if is just me? I'm the only one that
I'll take the bait. Obviously, there is scripting when it comes into week 1. I don't know if necessarily they planned on Leonard Floyd being on the Niners, but I think the narrative surrounding Aaron Rodgers Monday night, his return to action, and probably against the Niners of all teams, a team who he hasn't really been able to exercise his demons against, mainly in the playoffs. I know he's beaten the 49ers a couple times in the regular season, but when it matters, he can't. So I do think that all of those narratives were taken into consideration when scheduling this game. I just don't think they had any possible idea Leonard Floyd would also go and sign with the 49ers and make it that much sweeter. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that.
They probably put it to Monday Night Football when they knew Floyd was there. They made the matchup probably way before, but then it's like, oh, Floyd's there. We got to have it. You know 100% the first half they're going to be talking about Floyd injuring Rodgers constantly on the broadcast. Floyd Rodgers is going to be constant, right?
Yeah.
And what last thing, and then go ahead, Brennan. Mike, does this answer your question with scripted persuasion stuff? Taylor Swift. Enough said.
Dion, I think you were next, actually.
Look, man, I'm just going to say they gave Lil Wayne an NFL script. It was about this thick. I don't know. Travis Kelce gets put out there that him and Taylor Swift's relationship is fake and it's about to end. I don't know. Kansas City Chiefs have 7 Super Bowls with no holding calls. I don't know, people. It opens the door for conspiracy theories about these things. Because, like I was saying before we came on, it's confusing to me how the NFL has access to every resource you can think of to make sure these refs do their job properly, but yet and still they continually miss calls that are right there in their face. There's always evidence because we as fans from any team put it out there. Hey, this was holding. Hey, you missed this. And they say nothing. They continue to absolve the refs of any responsibility, and they allow them to just do whatever. I'll give you a prime example in a different sport, and I'll stop. Randy Orton lost to Gunther when his shoulder was up. And the ref was definitely right there to be able to count 1, 2, 3. And he saw it, and he still counted. So if he can make a blatant mistake like that, and Triple H comes out and goes, we're sticking with the ref. The ref's decision is final. Doesn't that tell you something scripted? Now, we all know wrestling is scripted, but think about it. That's all I'm saying.
You said that the NFL gave Lil Wayne a script that thick. I love Lil Wayne. I'm not sure the man can read. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, I love Lil Wayne. I don't know if that man can read. Brandon, did you have anything to add?
You ain't got to worry about that. He can rap.
He can rap, and he doesn't write anything down. That furthers my theory behind it. He freestyles everything, so I don't think reading is a necessity in his lifestyle. That's all I'm saying. Brandon, did you have something to add?
No, I don't. I honestly, we just continued on, and I completely forgot about it, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, no worries. Mike, did you have anything else?
Has Hassan Reddick returned? Because
No,
he's
sir.
also the guy that injured Brock Purdy. So like
Nope.
just
Sir.
the
That's a great
storylines
point.
are
That's
all
a great
here.
Great point.
I mean, listen, if they had opportunity to put Rodgers on Monday Night Football his first week back, they were going to do it. That's just this again, because it's against the 49ers. The schedule makers definitely picked this one out, and it was probably prior to Leonard Floyd, because the schedules that your opponents are set well in advance. They probably looked at it and was like, well, let's just do this right off the bat. It's Rodgers gets to come back. He was hurt 4 plays into Monday Night Football last year. Look at this come full circle. That's really the schedule making, like decision making of it or whatever. I ain't even going to touch the other shit. I'm really not getting into all that.
You can tell us if you think Lil Wayne can read. Stop it.
Debatable.
Okay. All right. So speaking of superstitions and all that stuff, if you play into it at all, I saw this on FanDuel. Super Bowl runners up, which that's like attorneys general. That always kind of trips me up. I always want to say runner ups. Runners up have gone 4-19 against the spread in their following week 1 openers since 2000. So of the last 24 Super Bowl losers, the following year they've opened up 4-19 against the spread. The 49ers opened as 6-point favorites versus the Jets. Now, riddle me this, because this doesn't make sense to me. You're 6-point favorites. I'm pretty sure this was already when this is
When
prior
was
to
this?
Ayuk.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago. So before Ayuk signed and before Trent signed, Trent and Ayuk signed, and now that's down to, it went all the way down to 3.5, and now it's up to 4.5.
Yeah.
So lost a 1.5.
Oh, that's easy to explain, brother. Late
Please.
money on the Jets.
Yeah, the
Late
bets.
money
Yep.
on the Jets. It's all the sharps waiting for everything to play out, and then they're like, oh, you're gonna give me 6? I'll take that. 6 in the first game of the season when both teams traditionally play like shit because it's right there at the beginning of the season. Yeah. I'll take 6. I'll take the Jets plus 6 or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you agree?
I do. I think they do that to curve the betting. It's just kind of low hanging fruit, easy money. But against the spread, just want to be clear, doesn't necessarily mean the team loses, guys. So
No,
like
they
if the
just don't
Niners are
win by
6-point
what they're
favorites and they win by 5, they lose against the
Yes.
spread. So just keep that in mind, guys. So it doesn't mean that they're going to lose. I wonder what the win-loss type of thing is, because this is the second season in a row that the Niners are favored in all 17 games, right? So this is the second time that's happened. So I just wonder what the win-loss record is for Super Bowl hangover teams. I see you, Brendan.
Just real quick, a lot of people pointed this out, but I did realize that after Trent did sign, the point spread went up by 1 point. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Right. Went down. Oh, it was at the lowest was 3.5. So now it's back up to 4.5. So that makes sense. Obviously, you're going to get the best lineman in football.
If Reddick,
Trent Williams is only worth 1 point.
According to Vegas,
I want a
yeah.
refund.
if
I want a
Reddick,
refund.
if Reddick was going to play and we knew for sure, it would change again. If they find out
Right.
Reddick's going to play, they'll change it again.
Have you seen all the 49ers fans in the replies telling them, take another month off? You deserved it. Take another couple weeks off, brother. You've earned it. Don't even worry about coming to work Monday night. I just find it hilarious. It's funny now that we're on the other side of it, looking at, you know what I mean? Like, we're not dealing with any of our own dirty laundry publicly. It's all taken care of. Now we can sit back and laugh at these bozos. Jamar Chase, Hassan Reddick. Although I did see Chase practice today. So we'll see about that. I want to ask you guys about and I'm going to say new look, even though there's really only one new part. New look 49ers offensive line. Who else is as excited as I am to see it in action Monday night? Obviously, Dominic Pooney is getting the start tomorrow night. The injury to John Feliciano kind of sped that process up. I think all 6 of us we're expecting Jarrett Kingston to make the roster as well, and we're a little shocked when he didn't, and then ended up getting claimed. I forget, Carolina, I want to say he got claimed by. 49ers are stupidly trying to sneak him on the practice squad, but it is what it is. What are you guys expecting out of Pooney, the rookie, tomorrow night? The Jets have a pretty nasty defensive line. Are you expecting him to hold his own, or is he going to have his ass handed to him as a nice welcome to the NFL moment? Whoever wants to take this one.
I'll go. Being honest with you, I expect Pooney to go out there and ball, man. If there's one thing, that you can take from Trent Williams is when he gives you a little bit of praise, you run with it, And they did ask him in his most recent interview who he saw that made an impact. One of the guys was Malik Mustafa, just because, we all know this guy is chiseled like an Adonis, pause. But he did say Dominic Pooney. And what we saw from Pooney, I don't expect Pooney to go out there and get broke off. Do I expect him to get beat at least once or twice? Yeah, it's going to happen. Everybody takes their lumps as the offensive lineman, but I don't expect Pooney to go out there and fail. What I'm looking at right now is the defensive line for the Jets, and it says Jermaine Johnson, Javon Kinlaw, Quentin Williams, and Michael Clemens. And I'm sorry, I like Javon Kinlaw, but I've seen Javon Kinlaw get punked. And if he's anywhere near Dominic Pooney, I don't know how strong he's going to be. So for me personally, I expect Pooney to go out there and ball. Do I expect him to have maybe a mishap or two? Of course. These are lumps that everybody takes. But I don't expect anything less from this offensive line than greatness. I expect him to go out there, show up and show out. Trent, yeah, you're going to knock off a little bit of rust here and there, but he stays in great shape. And if you've ever seen any workout video from Trent Williams, it's freakish that a man that size is that nimble. That should not be possible. The stuff that he does is just insane. But I expect the line to be great. I expect Pooney to go out there and show why he earned that spot.
Very well said. If nobody else has anything to say on the offensive line, go ahead, Christian, then Mike.
I'm just saying, I just want to see if Pooney actually having some structure right there at the right guard, does it help McKivitz at all? Do we see a little bit of improvement with McKivitz because he has a little bit more structured and like somebody who's actually can hold their own at the right guard spot? Is he able to play a little bit better? I probably not, but I'm kind of hoping that we get to see a little bit of improvement from him having somebody right guard that's a little bit better at their position.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of Matt's whole like Quentin Nelson, Mike McGlinchey theory, where maybe he'll look better with a teammate better. Mike, do you have something to add here?
Yeah, I do, man. Pooney's about to get worked. Now, here's the thing: he's gonna take his lumps and bumps as he's supposed to. My opinion. It may not result in 2 or 3 sacks given up or anything like that, right? But you have Quentin Williams, who is like salivating right now. You have a guy in Javon Kinlaw who is motivated to go up against his former team. He knows this offensive line. He knows who these guys are. He's going against them in practice for like 3 days because he couldn't stay healthy. But he still knows who these guys are. He knows their ins and outs. He knows how they operate. He knows the scheme that he had to go up against practice in every day. Pooney's going to get worked out there. And the way the faithful overreact to offensive linemen, now because they already like him, they'll be like, oh, it's okay. He was a rookie. Like, it's all right. But if Pooney has the type of game that I expect, and his name was Mike McGlinchey, oh, it'd be pitchforks and a line outside with, torches and all. So he's going to have that kind of game, just not going to be discussed that way.
When McGlinchey is like a 5-year pro and was drafted 11th overall, he should have higher expectations than a rookie who was drafted in the 3rd round. That's all I'm going to say with that one. So, yeah, I even gave Colt McKiv shits 2 years before I started talking about him. So I can't with that, man. Yeah. Some guys just come in and play really well. A famous draft crest of mine, Creed Humphrey, that dude just came in and mauled, right? Sometimes these guys just fall through the cracks for whatever reason. Dominic Pooney from Kansas, not traditionally a powerhouse NCAA school. Maybe that plays a part of it. Maybe the fact that, he stayed in school maybe a touch too long. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is he's looked really good. in the preseason, and some of those games were against starters. So I don't expect him necessarily to get worked, but I think he's going to be solid. This was a guy that I really liked them drafting to begin with, and I'm going to ride that. I think he's going to do really, really well and make Feliciano expendable.
Oh, okay. Oh,
All
right.
Just real quick. I say if he does get worked, it'll probably be in the beginning of the game, and then once he's like calmed down with the nerves and everything like that, I feel like personally, I think he'll be fine, especially against Quentin Williams. That's just me though. But it's gonna be a great matchup to see if that's the case.
He's got a good first test on his hands, that's for sure. Last question on the offense here. Brock Purdy finished last season as an MVP finalist, did receive some votes. First full season, first full season, but he still didn't have a full off season leading into last season. He finally has had that. He had a full off season. He looks yoked. His arms are big. His thighs are big. I don't know if you guys caught his interview on Rich Eisen. He sat down with Rich Eisen, I want to say yesterday, the day before. Really cool interview. The kid's just so humble. Hard to not root for him. What are your expectations for Purdy? And this is going to sound like a stupid question, how much does the addition of Pooney and that offensive line solidifying it just a tiny bit more and maybe extend your expectations or alleviate your expectations a little more, if at all? Whoever who has some thoughts on Brock Purdy. Mike?
No, I think I'm actually looking forward to Brock Purdy, and I feel like that's always like, oh, what do you want to see the most about the offense, right? Like, obviously, I want to know if this guy is worth it. All season long, every game, every snap, that's the next big contract that the Niners are faced with, right? And so I want him to go up against tough defenses, tough defensive lines. I want him to go out here. He's got a very good surrounding cast of skill position players. Maybe not the best offensive line in the world, right? But it's definitely not the worst. I want to see what he can do. Let's see if he can elevate some of these guys. Let's see how rattled he gets when things don't quite go his way. If he sees Reddick coming back, like, oh shit, like what? I'm all right. I'm okay, right? Like those are the things that I want to see. I want him to be tested, and I want to see like not postseason Brock Purdy, except the Lions game. Second half Lions game, Brock Purdy, my guy. That was cool. Right, the rest of the postseason, I probably could have done without.
Left the field in the Super Bowl with the lead every single time. Never trailed in that game.
That
never trailed in that game
at all. That's not.
I'm just saying, that's not your guy. That's not your guy.
No, come on. I mean, now that doesn't mean that we lost the Super Bowl because of him, because there's plenty of blame to go around. But what I'm saying is this:
which quarterback in the postseason outplayed him? Jordan Love didn't. Jordan Love threw the game-ending picks.
That's a good point.
Jared Goff did.
Jared Goff didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Stop it.
No,
Are you kidding me?
No, he didn't.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man. Jared Goff didn't outplay him.
Jared Goff ran circles around Brock Purdy.
No, he didn't. Bro, no. No, stop.
Oh, man, how quickly we forget.
Hey, Mike, let me ask you a question. How many points did the Lions score in the second half of that game?
That's not what we're talking about. And I think it was 3. Hold on. Didn't they get a field goal?
They did get. Actually, they scored a touchdown at the end too, and went for 2. And,
I mean, in garbage
it was
time,
like trash
when it doesn't
time.
even fucking matter.
Yeah.
He went forward.
The Niners went on a
27-0
run. So you talk about a whole game. Like Goff put it together for what, a half, and a lot of that was built off the back of a Williams 65-yard touchdown run on the opening drive. So I don't know, man.
I just think. Here's my thing though. All jokes aside, because I think Brock Purdy is fine. I want to see him with the pressure of this is my contract year. I want all of this. This team thinks that they're built for the Super Bowl, and the pressure is all on him because now we're going to find out if he's who we think he is. We're going to find out if he's actually worth it because all the pressure is there. They have every other piece on offense that they want in the building. Skill position wise, they have the defense put together the way that they want. They're getting guys back on the defense that's going to improve the team later on in the season. And guys like Greenlaw and all, like they are looking to improve as the season goes on. All the pressure is going to be on him right now. And I want to know that's going to dictate his contract. It starts in week 1. It starts on Monday Night Football on the biggest pressure. Like, okay, you did the Super Bowl already, right? But now the pressure is here because we expect the Super Bowl this year. We know what you can do when you're healthy. We've seen it now 2 postseasons in a row. You got there. Now get there from start to finish like you did last year, but on Monday Night Football, prime time against the great Aaron Rodgers. He did fine when it was against the great Tom Brady. Run it back now with the pressure and expectation. Now the entire league is gunning for you. Let me know what you're worth.
So I saw in that Rich Eisen interview, he did talk about Rich Eisen kind of pushed him, like what did you improve upon? What did you do this offseason? And he goes, yeah, watched a lot of film and some things that I feel like I could do better. And Rich is like, well, what are those things exactly? And Brock didn't really want to get into it. And he pushed him a little more. And he goes, there were definitely some throws in that Packers game that I should have made and that I should have even attempted. Like I kind of got in my head too much trying to make the big play. And I should have been more focused on keeping my offense on the field, taking the check downs, settling for the 3 to 4 yard gain instead of always searching for that 15 to 18 yard pass. If it's not there, understand that that's just as valuable as far as moving the chains, taking the check down. And then he also went into the Super Bowl and talked about how he didn't feel like it was his best play. And he's rewatched that a few times, and it kept him up for a good amount of time, just knowing the opportunity he had, and it slipped through his fingers. So I just feel like we don't really see that level of like honesty and transparency from players. So it really is refreshing to see, especially from somebody so young and inexperienced as Brock Purdy. But yeah, I think the sky's the limit for this kid, and the expectations are sky high as well. So I'm really interested to see what he's going to do. Mike, I'm right there with you. Prove it. The 49ers are very well going to have to pay you like $60 million in 6 months, 7 months. Go out there and prove that contract you have earned. And don't get me wrong, he already has, but I just want to be like 1,000% sure he's the same
Don't we all
player.
feel that way though?
Yeah, of course.
Isn't that always like, who's going to be like, nah, don't prove shit, dude. Just go out there and be fucking mediocre.
Well, some people are saying he already proved it. That they don't.
Right,
No. NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. He's got to come out and continue on that path for sure.
Right.
But if he, again, to go back to that whole Jared Goff bullshit, Brock Purdy finished that game way better than Jared Goff did. Fuck Jared Goff.
I knew you were looking it up.
No, I'm doing a fantasy draft on the side. Yeah, no. But dude, Jared Goff, again, not bad. Shouldn't have been jettisoned by Los Angeles the way he was, but I don't know. He didn't outplay him, that. And then Brock Purdy's first playoff game against Seattle, he had like 350 yards passing in that game.
41 points. I love that game. But that was the last time I saw a good Brock
So I'm just
Purdy
saying, like,
quarterback
it's a little bit of mix of both, and everybody gets a little tighter in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like Lamar Jackson famously can't do shit in the playoffs because the defenses get tighter and tougher, and you're getting everybody's best. So I think that's a little bit overblown, but I do agree with you that he has to come out and continue to play like Brock Purdy has played the last couple of years. And if he does that, obviously he's going to earn that contract. If there's a serious regression, then maybe, that's something to look at.
See, what I want to see the most is Purdy have control of the offense. Like, it not just be Purdy's a part of the offense. I want to see him have full control. I want to see Kyle show the trust in Purdy that we saw Kyle have when he was with Matt Ryan, when Matt Ryan won the MVP. I want to see that kind of control from Purdy this year in the offense. I think if that's the case, I think this offense is going to be pretty unstoppable if we get to see that. I know Kyle's offense is about, I call a play and you just execute it. I want to get to the point where we can see where he's like, okay, Purdy has so much control, he can check out of a play, because we don't see that a lot in Kyle's offense. I want to get to the point this year where we do trust Purdy that he can run this offense and run it extremely well. I believe in him that he can play the position really well for this team. I want to see him really be the leader of this offense.
We'll see, man. He's got another opportunity here to really cement himself as that top 10 quarterback. Speaking of top 10, by the way, I saw Stephen Vrees of The Ringer released his annual quarterback tiers, Brock Purdy was 10, which I found hilarious because last year, this is the guy that said if the Niners win the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy, he'll retire from sports media entirely. And I'm pretty sure he switched it to if he finishes higher than top 10. So he had him at 10. So great commitment to the bit. I see some comments in here pushing back on $60 million for Brock Purdy. I don't think that's that big of a stretch. I think Jordan Love didn't he just get like a little under $60 million or something like that? Tua roughly around the same. There may be a couple more contracts, including
55,
Dak.
56, something like that, right?
Thank you. Yeah. So by the time any other contracts happen between now and next offseason, the number very well could be in the $60 million range.
I will say that out of everybody in the NFL, if there was one guy that I was like, this dude would take a discount for the team to be able to like restock town, it would be Brock Purdy. He just seems like that dude that fans. No. I think Brock Purdy like that. I know his agent's not, so that shit ain't gonna happen. But Brock Purdy's that down home farm kid that's gonna be like, well, I don't need 60 million, 50 million's plenty for me. Gee golly, like that's, and then he doesn't talk like that. I just, he is that like again. What was the big criticism of him during the bye week?
Matt.
That he went out there and was like tilling his field on a John Deere tractor. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of dude that would be like, I don't need every red cent. You know what I mean?
Give me 2 cows.
It's not like Brandon Ayuk who went up to the fucking podium and it was like, yeah, I definitely made the end of those negotiations more difficult than they needed to be. You know what I mean? It's like shit, man.
Hey, just real quick, let's also remember that Brock Purdy actually had a full-on offseason as well this offseason too. So we could put that out there as well. And I think Purdy is going to be even like better than what he was last year.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Go ahead.
What happens if he comes out and plays worse than he did last year and it was a full off season?
Then we're gonna say no more off seasons.
Yeah.
No more off seasons.
Yeah. We just got somebody getting his ankles out or something every weekend.
Shut him down.
I mean, he was rehabbing until November last year.
I'm just saying, I again, everybody complains that we like blow smoke up the team's ass too much. So, and then everybody pushes back when I, try to play devil's advocate and say, hey, look out for Debo, look out for this. But I'm just like putting that out there.
I mean,
they're going to call it a sophomore slump.
They'll
say that this is the 32 games that we have to see before we can judge a quarterback, and the Niners are jumping the gun. That's how they would justify it.
Do you guys
doesn't mean that it's right, but because I don't think Brock Purdy's worth $60 million right now. I don't. If you look at the guys, never mind, because it's not fair because they don't make their contracts right. Because I don't think Trevor Lawrence is worth it either, right?
Neither was Jordan Love.
Right. Yeah. Like Burrow is. Jordan. I don't even know if Burrow is. I think Burrow is super similar to Brock Purdy in the NFL. He's surrounded by an amazing supporting cast, and no one talks about it. Why? I don't know. I don't know why no one. It was Brock Purdy's not really that good. It's because of Debo and Kittle and Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey. Right? You can do the same exact shit. They have 3 number 1 wide receivers on that team. Mixon was over there as well. They have a better offensive line than the 49ers. How is it that it's Brock Purdy isn't this good, but what?
They didn't have a better offensive line. Wasn't Joe Burrow getting sacked like crazy a couple years ago?
His rookie year.
Yeah, but then they spent a ton of money on that line, dude.
And a top pick.
A ton of money. Yeah.
It still didn't really protect him, even though they spent that money.
Now, I will say give Burrow a little bit of a pass because of the multi. I mean, that dude's injured every fucking year, it feels like. So
for holding on,
he gets beat up though.
The one year that he was healthy, they went to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, because he had the calf injury and the wrist injury, and he had the ACL his rookie year, and blah 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 blah.
That was the year that he got sacked the most that Super Bowl year, right?
But he stayed healthy. That's
that's what I'm saying, though. That's good. That's what's
but I don't know. I don't know what to make of Joe Burrow because, like, Joe Burrow has been blessed with literally everything. He played with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in college. Like, what the fuck, dude?
To be fair, his offensive line cost him the Super Bowl the same way Purdy's did.
I still maintain that the defense cost the 49ers the Super Bowl. They had to make one fucking stop and couldn't do it.
Bosa just stays home, doesn't crash, keeps the edge on that 4th down play where Patrick Mahomes kept it and gets
Oh,
to the
yeah.
corner. Anyway, I don't
Yeah.
want to throw stuff at my wall.
But that's why we won't see wide 9 anymore, because of shit like that. The 49ers have installed actually 5-man fronts, so we should see actual running defenses on running downs.
We saw some of that last year, and I want to give kudos to Steve Wilkes for implementing, a couple of different things that it seems like the Niners are going to hold on to. The 5-man front along the defensive line, and I think Steve Wilkes should be praised for what he did with that secondary last year. That secondary was far more impressive than the defensive line, in my opinion. And hopefully that trend continues on. So I know we didn't really talk about our defense versus their offense.
Yeah, let's
but
get right into it.
I'm looking forward to that as well.
Let's get into it. Go ahead. That was my
Yeah,
next
no.
question.
So I mean, I actually want to start up front. I'm, for the first time in a long time, looking forward to seeing a healthy 49ers defensive line against an opposing starting offensive line. Now, the Jets don't necessarily have a really good offensive line. I know they went out and got Tyron Smith to play left tackle, but that's an older veteran. I think that the Niners match up really, really well on paper with the starters versus their starters in the trenches. And this is going to be a year that all the defensive linemen have been healthy, practicing, and able, and we're going to hit the ground running. It's usually the other way around. Hold out this guy. This guy's been injured. He's been nursing something, so he's been holding back, right? Like even Leonard Floyd said, they overreacted. They pulled me because of, they just wanted to be sure it wasn't that serious of an injury. They're all healthy. They're all healthy. Leonard Floyd's not going to be the best guy against the run, but that's not what they brought him in here for. Set the edge if you can, but go after the quarterback. That's what we want you to do. I can't wait to see this defensive line against a middle of the pack offensive line. That's what I want to see to start the game.
I mean, Floyd's probably Bosa's best running mate he's had since what's his name?
Ford.
Well, we barely got a CD Ford. I was going to say Buckner, but
They had a
his
season
rookie
together.
season. Okay.
Ford and both. I think 2019, right, was the only year we got out of D Ford.
Well,
Yeah.
Wasn't 2019 it was mostly Buckner, wasn't it?
Well,
2019 we did not have D Ford. We got D Ford in 2020.
Yeah, I was gonna say
you're right.
D Ford was on the Chiefs in
After the Super
2019.
Bowl.
it was Bosa's rookie season. We had Buckner and Bosa and Buckner absolutely killed it that year.
D Ford with the Chiefs cost us a championship. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the defensive line too. I think they added some, not only quality but also depth as well. We're talking about Gross Matos there. We're talking about, again, not only Malik Collins to join Javon Hargrave. Yes, the loss of Eric Armstead, who was a legacy here, is not something that's super easily replaced, but I feel like they've gotten better, and we're not worried about, this guy's, like Mike said, this guy's got an injury or whatever. We got the injury out early. Drake Jackson officially a bust. Get him out of here. He's Elijah Mitchell status to me. But what they have in the building is nice, and they were able to sneak some guys through onto the practice squad, so they maintain a lot of depth there, even if somebody does happen to go down, knock on wood. And I think that's going to be the theme of this season, is maintaining health. They have people, so it's going to be good.
All right, so keeping in line with the 49ers defense versus the New York Jets offense, we talked about Aaron Rodgers, whether or not we think he can sling it anymore. Obviously, they have Garrett Wilson. They have Breece Hall. What is the key to stopping the New York Jets offense? If I told you guys, if X happens, if the 49ers defense does X, they win this game. Matt, I'll throw it right back to you. You just went. What do they got to do?
Got to be pressure. Got to be pressure right away. And the one thing that I like that hasn't been talked about a lot is with the addition of Brandon Staley, the 49ers are not playing that baby shit soft zone coverage. They're going to be playing a lot more man. They have more hogs in the stables ready to get muddy, and that's going to allow the defense to actually try to work against the offensive line so that opposing teams can't just get the ball out into space against us right off the bat and neutralize that pass rush. From Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green to Talanoa Hufanga coming back to Jair Brown being, a guy that really came up in a tough spot last year. Charvarius Ward and Diamador Lenore are there. Like this team, Rock Ya-Sin and Isaac Yiadom. Isaac Yiadom, I think, is a very underrated signing, and I think it's very, a good signing for the 49ers. The depth at the quarterback position, I feel, has been deeper than it was. They tried to sneak Sam Womack through waivers, guys, and he wasn't able to make it, obviously, because people wanted him. When you cut people that other people want to pick up, that's usually a good sign for your depth at that position. With the exception of, like offensive, defensive line, just because everybody wants to pick up at those spots because it's thin to begin with. But at the corner position, if you're cutting guys that people actually want to pick up, that's a good sign. So being able to give the defensive line a touch more time to get home, I think is going to be the key.
Okay. Great point. So pressure. By the way, I think this is like the first time under Kyle Shanahan that we are possibly seeing, and stop me if you guys disagree, possibly seeing a change in defensive philosophy, coverage over pressure. It seems like this is the first time they've invested a little more in the secondary than they have in the front seven.
It's almost like they finally started listening to me when I said, dude, you guys got enough in the front end. Like, get some people that can cover, and this thing will all come together. I think, honestly, with health, if they stay healthy, this has the potential to be a top 3 defensive unit in the NFL. And that's what's going to win a 49ers a championship. We know the offense is going to be fine, but the defense being absolutely, locked in the secondary, you got D Winters coming up and trying to make a name for himself. You have Devondre Campbell, who can hold down the fort until hopefully Dre Greenlaw can come back and show some stuff. And then you just have All-Pro Fred anyway. But really that secondary, if they can cover, this team is going to be a top 3 defense in the NFL.
Yeah. Can Bosa break the sack record if his DBs can actually get him some coverage sacks, which he's never been able to get really from our DBs?
I expect him to be closer to 18.5 than he will be to 10.5 like he was last year. He'll be back up to the numbers that he had, prior to last season when he held out.
It's really interesting to see, really exciting, because they drafted 2 DBs. You got Mustafa, you got Green. By the way, Renardo changed to 0, which is dope as well. Mustafa, I think, changed to 43 or something like that. What are you guys?
Mustafa? Yeah, the number?
Oh, Mustafa, no, he changed to 6.
6. And Renardo Green is 0, which is pretty.
Thank you.
I like that number for Renardo Green. 0 is pretty savage. I like it.
Throwback. Thank you. I had Sorensen on my list, and I'll start with this question for Matt. Do you think Nick Sorensen, the 49ers defense coordinator, would dial up some blitzes? Maybe more
inappropriate situations. Inappropriate situations. I don't think the 49ers are going to become like a super blitz heavy team. I don't think that they're going to become a team that blitzes. You still have, again, the right players to work the quarterback and work the offensive line up front. You just needed guys that weren't 10, 12 yards off the ball that were going to give up everything underneath, trusting in your DBs between Sorensen and Staley to actually cover somebody for longer than 2 or 3 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, if you can get 3 or 4 seconds out of those guys instead of 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, then that all of a sudden that extra second, we've seen the near misses. Shit, he almost got there. He almost got the quarterback. Now that extra second becomes, boom, got him. Boom, third and 11 or third and 12, and then you're turning the ball to the other side of the field, and the 49ers offense gets to work. It's just something that you just need a little bit of a different look. You can't just do the same thing every time. I think Sorensen, in appropriate situations, hopefully will throw those up. But that's the big unknown, right? We don't know what Sorensen can do as a defensive coordinator, and I think it's fair that he has to go out and show it, not just what we speculate it'll be.
Don't you think when fully healthy at linebacker, I feel like we are able to blitz. When you get Greenlaw back, who is extremely fast and I think tenacious for the blitz, and then a healthy Winters, who's also extremely fast. When we do blitz, we'll have a better opportunity.
Here's the thing, though. Why has Patrick Mahomes' yards and touchdowns gone down over the last couple seasons? Because nobody blitzes him anymore.
Oh, okay.
Right? Brock Purdy, great against the blitz. Some of these great quarterbacks, you don't necessarily have to blitz them. What you want to do is have 7 out there playing coverage and taking away the field, right? If you can put your corners in man coverage and then rely on maybe a middle third for a linebacker, and then you got, deep halves for safeties or whatever. Now all of a sudden it's really hard to get those big wide open spaces that we've seen teams have before, and you're allowing the defensive line to get home on the quarterback without worrying about giving up something over the top. So I think, again, when appropriate, blitzing is really good. Everybody knows cover zero when times is appropriate. We saw that in the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Chiefs were like, hey, cover zero on this goal line. They got to get the ball out quick anyway. They're not going to have time to develop these routes, especially in that no man's land where they're at like the 7-yard line. It's not straight up goal line, but it's not, there's still limited space to work. I think that's when it works out to your advantage. But otherwise, I don't think that they're going to run it a lot because you don't necessarily want to.
So is anybody here worried or maybe has a bit of doubt in Nick Sorensen, especially in his coaching debut, going up against an offense like the New York Jets? First time DC. I know he's played a lot. He's coached a good amount too. But does anybody here have any doubts in his ability to step up to the job? I mean, the 49ers haven't had that much luck. They struck gold on Saleh, struck gold on Ryans. And then, unfortunately, last year, you could say they struck gold on Wilkes when it comes to the DBs, but maybe overall, I think the proof is in the pudding. He wasn't brought back. Mike, I see you unmuted yourself, so please.
Yeah, I think Wilkes is probably the only one that the Niners weren't happy with their production. And we also got to remember that Robert Saleh, while he did work his way up through the ranks here, he wasn't a home run straight out the gate. There were people calling for Robert Saleh's head very early.
Yep. Remember when he used to drop defensive ends into coverage?
Yes. Yeah. Like that
pissed off a lot of people
watching him.
Or what about that third and long defense where it's like prevent defense in the first quarter?
Yeah.
And it's like,
and we always gave it up by 2 yards.
And eight guys like near the first down marker. And then you just try to run up. Yeah, I agree with you there.
So, some of these things take time. I think one of the things that is going unchecked maybe this offseason is the 49ers taking their coordinators and giving them a second set of eyes, a second set of ears, and even another conscious to reflect off of, right? Kyle Shanahan, for the first time in his career, relinquishing play calling duties, although just in preseason. As the offensive coordinator, he's got someone else calling plays. What does that mean, right? You go out here and you get Nick Sorensen, but you bring in Staley to be that guy that he can lean on. What does that mean? I think all of a sudden they're saying, hey, maybe just one set of eyes or one thought process isn't enough. Let's see what happens when we can spread it out. Maybe this is Kyle learning from having to do this checks and balances system with Steve Wilkes and saying, I don't want to have to be that guy. Let me get someone else in here to do that so I can focus on this. And maybe I'm over focusing on this, so someone else should be here to check me as well. I think we're seeing some growth in the front office and not just on the with the roster. So I think it can all work out. I think that we have to be patient with Sorensen. I think he's going to get too much credit at times. I think he's going to get too much blame at times also.
Okay.
I think that Mike hit on something that I was going to touch on is the fact that Sorensen not being on his own is super important. The fact that they brought Staley in, and Staley gets the runaround, and Staley gets, a little bit of shit because of how he performed in Los Angeles with the Chargers, some of the stuff like running the stairs before the games. But his last season as a defensive coordinator was for the 2020 Rams, where they only gave up 18.5 points per game, only 281.9 yards per game, and only 190.7 of those in the passing game. So this dude, as a defensive coordinator, has pedigree. And to get that guy with the experience as a second set of eyes, I think is very, very smart to help show Sorensen, a young coach by all accounts, the ropes and get him up to speed. Very, very shrewd move, I think, by Kyle Shanahan. And I think that's going to be one of the things that's going to lead him to being more successful.
Yeah. Also, will we see situations like we saw this preseason, Kyle Shanahan maybe listening to other coaches like Clay Kubiak, who he allowed to call plays? Now, I'm saying this, obviously, this could have been something that has already been happening. I don't know the extent of input Kyle Shanahan allows from other coaches the past couple of years. However, it kind of seems like he gets a little stubborn and maybe too dialed in with his game plan. Do you guys think there's any chance that Clay Kubiak has a heavier input on this offense, kind of similar to what Mike McDaniel had prior to leaving to Miami? Or do you think Kyle Shanahan was just trying to give him an opportunity to get his feet wet in case he does go on after this year to?
I think that was just. I'm going to jump in here. I've been a little quiet.
Yes, sir.
I have to say that that's just him letting him get his feet wet. Kyle relinquishing offensive play calling duties. Yeah, no, not going to happen. Kyle is way too egotistical for that. He's not relinquishing any play calling duties. And going back to what Christian said earlier, I would love to see Brock Purdy be able to check out of things, to be able to have a full command of the offense, and to be able to see something on the field and say, you know what, I don't like what I'm seeing. I need to go to a different play, and have Kyle not flip his you know what on the sidelines because he checked out of the play. When it comes down to it, the one thing you can definitely count on Kyle for is being himself. One thing I'll give him is he's not going to give you anything false. He's going to show you exactly who he is. You just have to understand that that's the guy. There have been too many coaches that have coached with Kyle that literally have said, like, this dude, that's who he is. Like, if somebody shows you who they are, take it for what it's worth. You know what I mean? But Kyle relinquishing play calling duties? No. Not unless somebody comes in that is like Mike McDaniels. And you got to remember, Mike McDaniels was with him for years before he even did that. So that it's not that it's frustrating. It's just if he had an OC, it would be nice because you'd see something different. And also you might see more of a rotation of players instead of there being such a heavy focus on just one person, but I think that's just him getting his feet wet there. That's all.
Just to clarify, I didn't say call plays. I said have more of an input in the offense.
I think he will. I think there's a chance he could let Kubiak have some kind of impact, because I think this second Super Bowl loss humbled him. Because he's probably thinking it doesn't matter what the defense did in that Super Bowl. He's thinking I should have had my offense put up 40 points and it wouldn't have mattered. And I think what happened in that game humbled him. And I think he's trying some new things because of that. And so if that means I'm going to let Kubiak call plays in the preseason so he can get an understanding and give me some input on things during the game, and I can be understanding and listen, I think that's a possibility. I think he definitely I think he thought he was going to win the Super Bowl. He probably thought so, because look at Jed. He was like, we're winning the Super Bowl. I think it was very humbling for him this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some input.
What struck me, and then Mike, I'll toss it to you, I think you have something to add, is when they fired Steve Wilkes, it was then later reported they did try and hire Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator. That struck me as Kyle saying, okay, maybe I don't have all the answers. Like I tried to find, I did find Saleh, and then we were able to promote Ryans, and then I went and plucked Steve Wilkes out. He had some history with him, or he at least knew of him. And maybe he thought, okay, clearly I can't get it. But Christian, I think that's a great point, because at the end of the day, he is the offense, and the offense went out in the Super Bowl and put up 22 points after averaging close to 30 points a game when we're talking about starters. If you would have told all of us the night before, that Saturday before Super Bowl Sunday, the 49ers are going to put up 22 points, I think all of us would say they lose. So hopefully he's humbled. Hopefully he takes that into consideration moving forward and has a little more input. Brandon, you have something to say?
Yeah. Do you think that's why he kind of offered a job to Bill Belichick too?
I think Bill would have been more so on the offense, but that does play into maybe
Belichick on the offense?
Sorry, I said defense.
Oh, okay.
But that does play into maybe he figures I don't know everything,
right,
and I need as much help as I can get.
Real quick, guys. Let's hijack the show for the fucking baby in the chat who needs something corrected for himself, who couldn't wipe the Cheeto dust off his fingers fast enough to go to fucking Google. Like, dude, this is we're an hour and 15 minutes into this show. Okay. I said something that wasn't accurate. How many times are you going to type in the chat that you need it to be super accurate, bro? Like, you've never misspoke? Like, you're holier than thou. Do you have nothing better to do? Now I'm stopping the show for all 5 of these other guys because you're like, fucking corrected on the show. Fucking corrected on the show.
Wait. Here's the best part. Matt hasn't corrected shit. He hasn't said what it's about. I love it.
And I'm pretty sure I was the one that said it, but okay, sure. Yeah, go up. Go up.
So go back, have fun, listen to the show, keep crying about stupid shit, and remember this the next time that you say something that may or may not be accurate and somebody pesters you for an apology. I'm already married, dude. I don't need another wife in the chat. Okay?
All right.
I'm not seeing anything. Am I missing something?
You might not be.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. Let's
wait. That penalty was in the year before in 2018. The game was January 20th, 2019, you stupid fuck. Throwing stones at a glass house much? Dude, I'm going to do this 2 weeks in a row. Last week, it was somebody who told me I've never been in a serious situation. This week, it gets to be you. We're going to do this every week. That's fine. I'm here for it. I'm prepared.
I love it. I'm sorry.
And he says I'm crying now. Dude, you've been bitching in the chat for like 15 minutes. I've watched every single one of your things. Every single. He needs to go and correct it. Wait. Go back to the one. He needs where. Throw it up. Throw up this little bitch ass. You know where it is. Correct yourself.
Now you took the mystery away. Now people know what we're talking about.
That's all right. I don't
this shit's
literally
hilarious.
could not care less. We do this enough. How many shows a week do you do, Mike?
Oh God. Don't get me started. 6,
Right.
7.
You've never like misspoke or misremembered something? Like I'm supposed to be like an encyclopedia?
Yeah, it happens, man.
Jesus Christ.
Just today I called Leonard Floyd.
Jesus Christ.
Damn, who's the other Floyd I called him? I called him something Floyd.
Brother, teapot, kettle. Hello.
All right,
you can't
Tim.
tell me I'm whining and do it in the chat. Never mind. All right. I've held this up enough. We'll get back to the show. Sorry. It was just like like that little itch that you can't get in the middle of your back. I needed to scratch that shit.
Correction. So I think legally you have to go and like and subscribe to the channel now. Because we stopped the show to give you what you wanted. So there you go. All right. So going back to Kyle Shanahan changing his ways. Mike, I think did you have anything to add on that? Has the thought sailed? Is it gone?
I don't even know what the fuck we were talking about.
Kyle Shanahan changed his ways.
Kyle Shanahan, yep.
I think that I don't know about being humbled. That's a bit much for someone that I think of like how Kyle Shanahan operates and moves and maneuvers. I do think that he is attempting to improve. I do think that he is looking for not necessarily a second opinion, but someone that he can trust and maybe bounce some ideas off of. And maybe more of it happens during the week. Right? Like when we watched this preseason, the one thing that I noticed that was different, it wasn't so much the physical plays or the actual plays, it was more so how aggressive they were at the end of halves, right? Like how they were kind of doing the 2-minute drill. They get the ball back with 1 minute 23 seconds and they're using timeouts early, right? That is like the opposite of how Kyle Shanahan has basically operated his whole time here. He's like, yeah, I'd rather just get out of this situation safely. So I did see some changes. I don't know how much it's going to roll over into the regular season, but it's good to see this old dog trying to learn new tricks. And that's something that I'm going to sincerely appreciate. And he's someone that he's going to have to be the person to be open to it. No one's going to be, Kyle, you got to do this. Jed's not going to tell him and force him. John Lynch isn't going to tell him and force him. His dad's not going to tell him and force him. Right? Everyone can throw these suggestions at him all day long if they want to, but he's going to have to be the person that's open to it because every time there's some scrutiny, every time the 49ers lose a Super Bowl, the motherfucker gets another extension. He's not worried about going anywhere. He has no incentive to change. He's got no incentive to change.
Oh, you didn't hear, Mike? You didn't hear?
Oh, don't get me.
You didn't hear, Mike?
Oh, shit.
I'm not.
Here we go.
I'm not even touching
Open that can of
shit.
I want it because I have a different opinion on that.
It's not even worth it.
I
Let's
can
just
tell
stick
you.
with this game. Let's just stick with this game. Let's go back to the 49ers defense versus the Jets offense. We talked about Breece Hall. How much of a threat does Garrett Wilson pose to the 49ers secondary?
I'll say this. I don't think he poses much of a threat. Honestly. I'm just saying. We've got Demo. We've got Mooney Ward. You know, I'm pretty sure they're going to throw Bernardo Green out there. Luter Jr. has looked good. Like, we have the depth. And to be honest with you, I'm looking at their wide receivers right now. They got about 3 people. Malik Taylor on IR. Marcus Riley on IR. Mike Williams, questionable, which that's not anything.
He got hurt while you were reading that.
Yeah, Mike Williams, he's always either questionable or injured. This is going back to LA. But I'll say this. Garrett Wilson, will he get a couple touches? Will he do some things? Yeah, he might have a few things here and there. Of course, you can't keep a good player down. Be honest with you, I'm more worried about Alan Lazard. And the reason being is because him and Rodgers have a connection going all the way back to Green Bay. And Lazard is sneaky. It's that one play, random, that he just shows up. So I'm telling you, I think Garrett Wilson may get a couple of things, but I don't think he's going to do much. I think our DB room is way too strong. And I'm telling you right now, if our starting safeties are Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa, which I would love to see just until Talanoa Hufanga comes back. But if you get coming across that reminds me possibly we could see a revamp of the kill zone that we used to have with Hittner and Goldson.
It's the flag zone. It's called the flag zone now.
Oh, well, fly zone, kill zone. Come across the middle, get yourself lit up.
Flag.
Oh, flag. Oh, flag. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot. We're now in the Cupcake League. I forgot about that part.
I want to answer this question real quick, and then we'll continue. Tim, will Demo get extended soon? The 49ers reportedly tried to enter negotiations with him this offseason. He said, I'm going to wait. I'm going to bet on myself. So it won't be till next week.
Also, if some people are to be believed, I think Jed York doesn't want to spend any more money. He's very unhappy with John and Kyle and all that. So anyway.
If those people are to be believed.
I
Okay.
love it.
I just want to know how they typed it when they were all clearly standing in a circle. Never mind. You know what? Never mind.
The Cohen cronies.
Okay.
We weren't going to name names, brother.
So this game, is there anything else on defense? People have talked about the run defense still being concerning. It was kind of a liability for the Niners, especially down the stretch. Are you guys expecting an improvement in the run defense or more of the same? Way too early to tell. Will the reinforcements help?
It's going to be too early to tell, but I think one important aspect that we really need to touch on is that hopefully with them playing more man, with them really working on a lot of different things, with them getting some fresh blood in there, the third and long holding penalties, I would love to see those come down because there have been way too many of those here. They get grabby, and again, you got some rookies, Renardo Green, Malik Mustafa, where in the college game you're allowed to hold until the quarterback releases the ball, and it doesn't matter if it's 5 yards or whatever. You can hold until they release the ball. They might be a little grabby. I know that was one of the things in Renardo Green's scouting report. Let's see how they've adjusted with that. I think at times in the preseason, it looked like Renardo Green was playing a little too soft, and I think that was because he was trying not to grab as much. So getting off the field on third and long and not shooting yourself in the foot with penalty is going to be a huge, huge thing.
Also, I think that third and long penalty, Ambry Thomas is on IR, so hopefully that holding penalty isn't an issue anymore.
I will say,
the main culprit.
Remarkably, Charvarius Ward had a lot of holding penalties too.
True.
I think we have to remember that teams go for that though, especially on third and longs, right? It's like, hey, you run a really deep route. I'm going to underthrow it. You stop, let him run into your chest, put your arms out, and see if we can get it's a play. It's a play in the game. It's a play in the game. And you know who's really, really notorious for it?
Aaron Rodgers. Yep.
Aaron Rodgers is notorious for it. Just airmailing it. He doesn't care if it's intercepted or not. Like, it's because it's essentially a punt anyway, right? So this is going to be a time that they're tested.
Hey, Mike, you know what else Aaron Rodgers is notorious for? Losing to the fucking 49ers.
There you go. I like that. I like it a lot. And to go back to the rushing defense, I think the question was, do we expect them to improve? Right? I believe is that
or
the
stay the
question was?
same. What do you expect out of it?
I think that this week isn't going to be a fair week to judge. I think we're going up against a really talented young running back. This guy's in his 3rd season, if I'm not mistaken. Reese, last year was coming back from the injury. This year he's got the full off season. He's ready to go. And I just think it's going to be a little difficult to judge. Now, if they come out and look good, I'm screaming from the rooftops. Because now I'm like, oh man, we got a healthy Hargrave and we've got a healthy Collins in here and we got healthy Bosa. And they can't fuck with. I'm gonna go crazy if they look good. But I'm expecting some middle of the pack, 110 total yards on the ground type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Just real quick. I think I feel like Monday should tell how our run defense goes. I'm kind of opposite what Mike said, because of how good Bryce Hall is as well. So I'm kind of looking for that specifically on our defense when we get out there on Monday night. So that's my take on that.
He's a good back, man. And in case anybody didn't know, he went to college with Purdy. So they are very familiar with each other. Hall has always been very complimentary of Brock. So we'll see how that plays, if at all. Mike,
are they supposed to be friends?
Yeah, I think so.
I know that they went to college together. They talked about. Did you guys
They were on
hear
the same
what he
team?
said? Did you guys hear what he said about Purdy? Like, I'm not that talented. I'm not the biggest. I'm not the strongest. I'm not the fastest. But if you surround me with a lot of good players, I can make some plays. Did you guys? That had to
Brees
be the
said
most.
That about Brock.
Brees said that Brock said that to him.
Oh,
so it's like don't do that when I'm about to enter contract negotiations. Don't say that shit out loud. What are you doing, dude? Like, you doing me no favors by saying that right now.
I think
I don't know. I thought that was a little funny.
Yeah, I think that's Brock being Mr. Humble. Maybe try not to brag too much privately to someone, but who knows? The F49 media, they were roommates, so they clearly know each other pretty well. Okay. Anything else on defense before we start getting into our predictions? No? All right. Let's start with offense. I'll go first. Offensive player of the game. I'm going to go with George Kittle. I don't think the Jets have a linebacker / safety that can keep up with him. Is it Quincy Williams? Solid linebacker. I still think Kittle wins that matchup. I'm going to say George Kittle, 5 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Matt, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with, man, do I want to go? Let's see. I'm going to go with Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is going to show out just like we talked about, right? You want to show up on Monday night. He showed up against Tom Brady, right, Mike? You want him to show up against Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to have close to 300 yards, and I think he's going to have 3 touchdowns.
Damn. Christian, who do you got?
I'm going to go Mason. I think he's going to get a lot of playing time, and I think I'm going to say Mason because I think he's going to average 5 yards, but on the 3rd and shorts, on the goal line, I think he's going to get the ball, and that guy, every time he breaks, he never gets tackled on first contact, and he always falls forward. He's going to be extremely helpful on the short yardage game. It's going to get us first downs and things like that. So I'm going to say Mason just because he keeps drives going.
Okay, Brandon.
I'm going to say CMC. I think he goes for over 150 rushing yards and like 3 touchdowns.
Mike, since you're going last, we'll snake it and you can go first on defense.
Oh, it's all good. I had a very unpopular answer anyway. I'm going with Trent Williams. I think that he's the tone setter.
Sorry.
I'm going with Big Trent, man. I think he's a tone setter. I think he is the X factor. I think he is the motivational spark plug for this 49ers offense right now. I think he is going to make everybody on that offensive line feel 1,000 times more confident. I think he's going to turn around and let Brock Purdy know, hey, we're here, IGYB, right? I think he's going to tell Christian McCaffrey, don't worry about the rust. We'll open the holes. You go ahead and take care of what you take care of. And I think he's going to get to the second level 2 or 3 times and lay some mofos out. I can't wait to see Trent Williams unleash and just show like, hey, we're back and we got a purpose this season.
Okay, Matt.
You already know what it is, man. I got to keep it going. It's 2024, but it's the first game of the season. So Nick Bosa, 3 sacks and a forced fumble. You already know, man. Every week, every single week. Let's go.
That's right, Christian.
I'm going to go Demo, dude. He's getting a pick, possibly a pick 6 in this game. I know he wants one. He really wants that pick 6. So
Okay, I like that. Brandon?
All right, I want to spice it up a little bit. I'm going with Green. I say he gets 1 pick 6.
The rookie, okay. I'm going to have, I was going to say history repeat itself. Maybe I should say that. Leonard Floyd, we started off the show with talking about all the weird, lineups with this year and last year. I obviously don't think Raj is going to get hurt. I'm knocking on wood right now. I don't want it to happen, but I'm going to say Leonard Floyd, opposite of Nick Bosa. Maybe he doesn't get the double teams, benefits a little bit from that. This is a true NFL top tier pass rusher. And I'm going to say 2 sacks and a forced fumble, kind of a little baby step down from Matt's prediction of Nick Bosa. But I got Floyd for my defensive player of the game. Let's do final score predictions. Are we missing something, Mike?
Yeah, I don't really think Akella Witherspoon is my defensive player of the game. You said that, not me. Going with
I told you to go twice.
I'm going with Devondre Campbell, old man Cam, against his former quarterback. They played together for a season and a half, guys, in Green Bay. I think he gets a pick for his 8th one in his entire career. The 31-year-old is going to come down with the ball, and I think he's going to have a really solid game in run support. Devondre Campbell.
I didn't think you actually – I was joking about Witherspoon. I didn't realize you.
No,
I told you to
I
go
know.
off. I totally forgot you did it, so my bad. But
All
let's
good,
keep
man.
it on you right now. Offensive score, or excuse me, final score prediction. What do you got?
Oh, boy. I do think that the Niners start this a little slow. I can see this thing at halftime being really, really close. I'm talking like 13-17 or something like that, 13-12, something crazy. But I think the Niners walk away with this one. I think they win this game by double digits. I'm going to say the Niners 31, the Packers 17. 31-17.
Okay. Matt?
I mean Packers, Jets. I'm sorry.
Jets.
Sorry. The
Man.
Jets. Don't want to have to
correct
explain
that.
that again later on in the
Yep.
sorry.
I want 14 messages telling you that Aaron Rodgers is on the Jets. I think the 49ers are going to win this one by double digits as well. I think it's going to be 31-21. I think that both defenses do a fairly good job in the first half, but it gets a little looser in the second half when they're both pass heavy. 49ers 31, Jets, Jets, Jets suck 21.
Okay. Christian?
I'm going to go Niners 23, Jets 13. So
Low scoring. Brandon?
So I'm taking double digits as well. I'm saying Niners 34, Jets 17.
I got the Niners in overtime, 25-22. I'm just kidding. That's just a repeat of the Super Bowl. So I'm not doing that. I got the Niners. I'm going to say 28-17. I think the Niners win this one comfortably. Don't think it's really that close. Niners got this one. Okay. First preview of the year down, baby. We will be back. Are we doing Monday night? Are we doing Tuesday? What's the?
I gotta do Tuesday because I'm working Monday night.
All right,
So
we'll
I gotta
get
be able
back
to
to you
watch
with the
the game.
details. Yeah, we'll get back
Yeah.
to you guys with the details
Should we all do it again?
for the recap show. Brandon, not now, please, not now.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, drop your final score predictions in the chat. We want to hear them. If somebody gets it right, we'll give you some merch. We've been doing that for a few years. Nobody's ever gotten it right. Actually, somebody did get it right, but they never responded to me when I actually found them on Instagram. So if you're watching this on X, respond to the tweet with your final score prediction. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment. Dion is here in the chat saying 30-10 Niners. 49ers throwback, 31-20 Niners. Mark my words, Niners lose, and part of my gonna blame Ayuk. That's from.
Oh, I
Great
love
One
it. I
765.
love it. I love it.
All right,
I love
we
it
will.
when the trolls come in.
I am marking your words right now. Great One 765.
Speaking of Chris Everett or Jim Everett or whatever that guy's name is, he'll be back by the time the 49ers play the Rams. We all know that for sure, right?
He was here last week. He was here with.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I don't know if anybody could tell last week, but I was a little shit faced. So.
You don't say.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it, man.
Yeah. Brandon, I'm sure the folks know, but let them know where to find you and your podcast.
Yes, you can go ahead and follow me and Christian. The handles are on the screen right here. That's our personal page. And then at Forever Faithful Podcast is also our page on Twitter. YouTube, we're at 705 right now. We're trying to reach 1,000. So please hit that like, subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And really, really love the support. Thank you. And we're also on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, go subscribe to Forever Faithful Podcast. Follow my guys Brandon and Christian on X. Mike, the folks already know. They love you. They know you, but please let them know the season is here, so you don't want to miss anything.
That's right. Get your asses on over to the Patreon, guys. I'm not plugging the YouTube page. You guys know that already. Get right here. This is where the party is. Patreon.com/NB9ERS. Good content coming to you guys 3 days a week over there, plus game day. So get there. Patreon.com/NB9ERS.
All right. Without further ado, Matt, please do us the honors for the first time this season.
Oh, so excited. Sucks that I have to work, but when I get off, I'm going to be watching that game that night. We will be back here with you with the follow-up of 49ers starting 1-0, baby. Football is back, the real thing this time, and we're excited to bring you all the content. So please join us here for Christian, for Brandon, for Mike, for Zach, for myself. Thank you guys for coming here tonight and joining us. We love having you here as always. And until next time, go Niners.